Hello, I'm Caden Baldwin, and this is my final presentation for communications. So, my final presentation. So, first of all, communication is a huge part of our lives, and I don't think that we appreciate it as much as we should. We use it every day to portray our thoughts and emotions, whether we are talking in person or if we are just talking over the phone. We are constantly communicating. But do we really know about all the ways that we communicate? There are several types of communication that we use without even knowing. The easiest to recognize being verbal and electronic, of course. Did you know that we also communicate in nonverbal ways, written ways, and visual ways? Of course, once they're all laid out, then it's easy to see that we use them, but do you really know how much you use some of them? Such as nonverbal, for example? There are many times where we communicate to people by gestures and body language because it's the easiest way to get an idea across without having to talk to the person about it. Whenever you are angry, sad, joyful, or stressed, your body shows it's shown all over your person. Whenever you're angry, sad, joyful, or stressed, your body shows all of these emotions in a way that in the way that you carry yourself and the gestures that you use when you verbally communicate with people that you might when you communicate with people that you might not even know about. Since there are all these ways of communicating, it is crucial that we are effective in our communication because there are a lot of ways that communication can be misinterpreted, even when it's speaking verbally. Another reason why effective communication is important is because in a lot of situations, it is necessary that we portray an idea or an emotion, and when we aren't able to use communication effectively, then it can give off the wrong idea. So here are some examples or images of the types of communication that we use. I have 5 of them here. This one is visual communication. It portrays our thoughts and ideas when we put them into images like pictures and stuff and so forth as displayed here. Another one is electronic communication. That's when we communicate over the phone, through social media. This is nonverbal communication, which we use very often. We use almost all the time, every day. I'm using it right now to talk to you. We have verbal communication, where we use it all the time, every day. It's the most common form of communication, where I'm talking to you verbally. I'm using words to communicate my thoughts and ideas. Then we have written communication, which is to communicate through the use of words written on paper. So it's like visual communication, except you're using words instead of images. Then we get into our speeches. I used the Shonda Rhimes Dartmouth College commencement speech. I thought it was very good. I think that she's very relatable and she's very funny. She uses a lot of humor as a hook and she remains very calm, stays relatable to be able to connect with the audience and make sure that she stays on topic. For the Ronald Reagan Berlin Wall speech, I thought that this speech works in its intended purpose because it rallies the people, and Reagan stays on topic really well, and he's a very good motivational speaker by being clear and having good pitch. I found that he was a very clear speaker when I was listening to him. Next, we have Bill and Melinda Gates. It was very good because Bill and Melinda Gates were both able to transport information to us in a very humorous but also instructive fashion. I thought it was very good. Then we have the Winston Churchill, "We will fight on the beaches." I thought it was very good. Since he was very old when he made this speech, and the technology wasn't very good at that time, it was really hard to understand him, but he could really get his point across and he had good pitch and tone. This is the verbal and nonverbal communication. I think that it's a good example because it lays out the way we communicate in verbal and nonverbal methods in media that we have watched today, like TV shows and movies, and they do it in a very humorous way. This is interpersonal communication. I enjoyed this as well because I think it's a perfect example of portraying information from one person to another that is working towards the same goal. This is the intercultural communication. I found this one particularly interesting because I guess I never really thought too much about how communication between cultures can sometimes be hard, like a blockage. So I found that very interesting. This is constructive and deconstructive conflict. I enjoy this one a lot because I experience a lot of conflict a lot of the time because I'm a very stubborn person. So it's interesting to see this conflict too portrayed because it really shows how it'll have little words and then suddenly it will explode into something. Then there's my political commentators clash, which I found interesting because it's a piece of media that on the news, you're generally supposed to be very like rigid. You can only say specific things and you have like a thing that you're reading off to make sure you're saying everything right. But since this was a discussion, it kind of got a little out of hand because opinions ran into the mix. And last one is the modern media. I used the remarks on small businesses that was given just on Monday of this week by Joe Biden. I think it was a very good example of how modern media brings forward news examples that we have today. I thought it was very good. And in conclusion, one thing that I learned was about how intercultural communication can be so hard, and also about how working in groups can tend to be really hard. And that's it. Thank you.